I'm gonna need to get all this stuff out of the way, do a little bit more in-depth about a very simple method to do this. Hang tight, stick around. I'll show you just how simple this little setup is. It works awesome. Had it on here for months. I literally use this to lift the kayak into the back of the truck. So yeah, obviously works pretty good. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take the trolling motor off, and as you can see, it's kind of in the stowed position. When this crate is forward, I use a tie wrap to kind of hold it. Don't want it bouncing around. It stays pretty good, but again, I don't want it bouncing around. So to get this to drop, because as you can see, it's in the pulled up position right now. Right, this would be like that if I'm sitting up in the seat. And in a different video, I've used the clamp there, so you can see just how it works. And it is pretty simple. I can do it from the seated position. Right now I'll go ahead and release it so that it drops. Right, there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and unclamp this. It just comes up like so, and I'm just gonna flip it over and set it here for now. Just kind of out of the way. Those will hang on to it. Here's the basic rundown of this plate, right? It's a big cutting board. I'll put the link in the description. It's about maybe a ½ inch thick. And then I've got a smaller cutting board, again, ½ inch thick. I cut it into 3 pieces long ways to give it some thickness, a little bit more rigidity. And then I think I got these from Ace. Pretty sure I got them from a local hardware store. And they're just shelf brackets, but they are braced. They got a nice thick piece. You know, they don't got a bunch of swirls and designs on them. I just wanted something that was, you know, strictly functional, and it works. I left these 2 legs on because I thought that potentially these little eyelets would help in some sort of guide placement for the steering cables, but I haven't found a need. So it's like one of those things where I start building, and then necessity is the best teacher, right? So I want to keep it simple, don't want to overcomplicate it. You know, I do want it clean. As you can see, I've got the drip irrigation line that runs down through the holes. I've cut out holes there. Don't judge my router work. I never claimed to be good at that. Functional, and has been through a lot. So got the board there, and as you can see, I've got a bunch of what look like bolts on top of that. They were an 8mm, I think. And the steering cables, by the way, they're just wrapped around and crimped at the same point that this clamp is. This clamp is used to adjust the height of the motor, right? If it's too high, you get a lot of cavitation, it doesn't work well. If it's too low, and you're in very shallow area, then obviously you'll be restricted in where you can go. So I've got it adjusted for my water level. You can do the same for yours. If you're always out in open water, drop it down, and you get better control. If you're oftentimes in you know, pretty shallow waters, then raise it up. You know, keep it a few inches below the water line. There's that. It is a number 8. Unfortunately, these guys here have been out of stock for what seems like ever. These are amazing. Well nuts. I got mine from a local hardware store, and I reinforced the tops with a little washer to spread out the load from the head of each of those bolts. So All right, so I've pulled all 8 well nuts off, 4 on each side, and I can't take the bottom piece out. I can lift this up for you though, and you can take a look, right? It looks like I've got a bunch of washers along here, and that's because the way a well nut works is it has the threaded piece at the top, kind of like a bolt, and it has this other piece that sticks down, and what happens, you can see the, if you can see the silicone, I just gobbed a bunch in there when I screw these in, and I get no water inside, so it works. But basically that well nut, like I said, it has a nut on top and it has these 4 legs that go down, and or a nut on the bottom rather, and these 4 legs that go up. And so those legs go up, and as you put it down into the thread piece and then screw it in, those legs flare out, right? And they create, you know, hold point. There's 4 of them. They probably create about the equivalent of about a 3/4 inch washer inside of whatever you're drilling into. So in another video that I've already posted, pretty sure, I explained the exact sizes, but whenever you buy well nuts, they come in different size and lengths and all that different stuff to have more or less flare out based on, you know, how much room you have. If you got more room, get a bigger one, let it flare out more. I mean, it's just gonna be stronger, but like I said, I've had no problems with mine. And so on whichever size I happen to use, I drilled out according to what it said I was supposed to do. Pop those guys in there. Of course, I had all my holes already pre-drilled in the plate itself, and so that's kind of what I used as a guide to mark where I needed to be. Now, this isn't, you can see, right, hopefully, the back of the Lifetime Teton Pro. Depending on where you bought it, it might be called a Yukon, something like that. Let me know in the comments. I forget all the names, but somebody out there potentially who watches this probably has the other one. So they're the same, right? Just different people that sell them in different colors. The back isn't a big flat area. It does have these 2 big ridges along the back that have some nice curvature to them, which means it has some structural rigidity. There used to be a handle, as a matter of fact, here on the back, but obviously that would get in my way. That's why I cut these guys out. Actually works easier than the handle because I can balance it left and right. But I utilized this big structural point and 4 mounts on each side for my placement there. Drilled the holes, you know, through my plate, used that as a guide to know whether I was too far to the right or left. You know, I basically positioned my plate down onto the back of this, used a measuring tape, you know, to figure out how wide this was, how wide this point was, center it up, you know, whatever method you want to do to do that. I'm not an engineer, but this does work. And so, like I said, I measured it, made sure this was center, made sure I knew where my guides were by just, again, centering it and then using a Sharpie underneath to essentially draw out like a pattern of what this looked like, and then flip it over, and that told me essentially where I could put the holes as a guide. So got those on there, and so when I drilled out the holes, put my well nuts in, I just put some big gobs of, you know, I use either a marine silicone, E6000, you know, whatever you have, and got that sealed up. Like I said, I have nothing getting on the inside, you know, even the additional rod holders that I've put on there. You can check out the other videos. Super simple, but effective, right? It works. So that's been rad. But yeah, so once that's on there, if I, for whatever reason, wanted to completely take this off, I'll flip this up here. If I wanted to completely take this off, pretty simple. I mean, it's just a negative and a positive, and you know, I've got those color coded on there. Dummy proofed it. Hi, I'm the dummy. And yeah, that's that. So I would literally just undo this clamp, and off would be my steering string. There's a bunch extra on there. I could definitely trim it down. It doesn't need that much extra, but I do recommend you leave some extra on there, because the different lengths of your steering cables, right, they can stretch, they won't stretch. At any rate, that's how that comes off and goes on. I'll pop this back on for you real quick through the magic of time lapse, so you don't have to wait 5 minutes. that's about all it takes. So here we go. And there you have it. It's back on there. I got my steering. Like I said, when I travel with this, so it's not dangling and in the way, right, I'll have this guy up here. Nice thing is, if that's wrapped around in the wrong way, I can just unplug it, color coded, so I know not to reverse the wires. It's all loose right now, obviously, because the pedals are pushed all the way in, but it's all good to go. That's back on there. My puller, you can see here that when I'm in the seated position, right, I just pull that down and it stays in that position. This is, you know, fixed forward. Bring that up and use a little tie strap to keep this from bouncing around. Now when I'm driving and obviously out on the water, the crate is secured down. I use a bungee, it works. And yeah, so that's all I got for you today. I hope it answered some of y'all's questions. I hope it gave you a better idea how I accomplished this. If I were to guess, this is one of the most universal ways to do this. I bet we could figure out a way to carve up a piece of plastic and make this work on just about anybody's kayak, front or back. Could work up on the bow as well. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you've done something like this, what your thoughts are. If you haven't already, like the video, certainly helps out the channel. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell. You can check me out on Instagram and Facebook, My Chaotic Fishing as well. I've got a bunch of different information on the website, mychaoticfishing.com. And yeah, enjoy it. Hope it was of some value for your time. This is all just to document this stuff. Believe it or not, I've gone back through some of my videos because I was doing something where I couldn't remember how I did it the first time, so I went back, I watched my video. So it's already provided value to me. I appreciate y'all. Hope everybody's staying rad, stay blessed, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. That thing has worked, and I like it.